Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So let's talk about Nicholas for a minute. oh, Nick. So Nick wants to divorce Mabel, but his reasoning is because the marriage is already dead. It's done. We might as well just sit there and start anew. So pretty much, this is just my guess. This is my guess, along with everyone else's theory. That Nicholas wants to get a divorce is where they can start anew in case, Esme decides to open up her mouth, she, slips up or whatever, he doesn't lose half his stuff. Let's just be honest. He doesn't lose half his money, his house, all his stuff, half his stuff will not be gone. Because yeah, here's the thing. I heard that when they were talking, it was like, oh, we ripped up the prenup and everything like that. But I'm pretty sure that that's still part of the marriage. The original marriage is the prenup. Because otherwise, it really wouldn't make a lot of sense. Neighbor was like, this seems like a lot of steps just to kind of go back to the beginning. And what if we don't actually make it this time? Like, no, we'll make it. Just have faith in us. We good. And it was just like, what? So at this point, this is my educated guess, along with everyone else's, that he doesn't want to lose his money, which is why he's trying to get that divorce. Which I don't understand why is Abe even going along with it. I mean, they even sit there and hear him out. We're like, what sense does that make? And later on, when Laura comes over, they tell Laura, and Laura's like, because Laura's really happy as far as, because they're like, oh, we're going to make a marriage stronger than ever, and, we're going to give another go and trust and all this other stuff like that. So she's all happy. She's like, this is music to my ears. And then, he brought out the divorce, and she was like, what? And again, Ava is just like, I don't understand why she's not, like, challenging that more. Yeah, she's like, this is stupid, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But she doesn't seem like she's protesting against it either. I don't, I don't know. Please, somebody tell me how that actually makes sense. Because I feel like this is one of those levels where they gotta sit there and dumb down certain things and make the plot move forward. Um, I can't see any other way that Ava would even bother to finish listening to him and not challenge him rather than just being like, okay, whatever. Let's talk about Esme and Ryan for a minute. So, Ryan's not happy that Esme is, playing the long game, but, you know, the way Esme explains this whole plan and, she has a bigger, because her thing is like, if she tells them, they find out, they can wind up uniting and become even stronger, and that's not something that Ryan wants. One transgression may not do the trick. So she's like, listen, let's just stick this out, have a much bigger plan. We can, compound the amount of damage on top of the infidelity and whatever else she got planned. And so he's like, you know what? I'm losing my patience, but okay, all right, we'll try it your way, we'll try it your way now. For now. And the way that she was there plotting and everything like that, I was like, damn, she is. I can definitely sit there and see her being, Ryan's daughter. The way she was just so, no. We're not just gonna sit there and do one plan. We're gonna sit there and do maximum damage. I'm like, hey. So Felicia, I was about to call her Felicity. Felicia comes in there, and at first she's like, oh, well, what are you doing here? The Esme and stuff like that. And then she pretty much tells Esme to watch her back. Given what Ryan did to a bunch of other women on top of his own brother. He's like, yo, listen, you might want to, don't let him get inside your head, because once he does, it's a wrap. And there's a part of her, I feel like I can see it in her eyes. There's a part of her just like, she doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, and spending some time with him, maybe I should just, plan out have a plan B just in case things go sour or go south with Ryan. You can see it in her eyes. Um, so yeah, she comes in there, just talks about some of the stuff that Ryan did as far as stalking her, obsessing over her before Ava, and all that stuff. So it was a nice little trip down memory lane. Too bad they didn't actually show any clips because that would have been really interesting. Um, because they've done that before. Now, besides those two things that I talked about, the rest of this episode is kind of so. I mean, Sunny is my favorite character. But I feel like even in this episode, it's like, what was the point of him actually being in this episode? I mean, all he did was talk to Jordan about trying to get back his shipment, which Jordan was like, "Listen, I'm not in charge of that. So you gotta, you gotta talk to somebody else about that. Talk about TJ, talk about Michael, and how difficult it was in the beginning to form a bond as far as like building up the relationship with TJ, and just tells Sonny to just stick it out, hang in there. But but definitely his name is Michael. But Sonny's like, listen, it's different because he's like, listen, your son wasn't actively trying to destroy you, which is true. It's 100% true. But that's pretty much what they do. And then Carly comes over, and Carly's like, all right, let's go to the hotel. Um, they go to the hotel. They talk about Michael for a little bit, and you know, um, and Sonny was like, well, Michael saw what I did as a betrayal and a betrayal to his family. And Carly was like, yeah, he was right. I don't know whatever business that she had to talk to Sonny about, but it clearly was not in this episode. It's like they went to the hotel room, they started talking about Michael, she agreed, and then that was pretty much about it. And it was like, did we really need to actually watch all that today? Like, did we need to sit there and watch Sonny talk to Jordan just to not get anything accomplished? Um, Even when Jordan was trying to help, the situations were vastly different. And then the talk with Carly didn't really go anywhere. It just reminded him of the poor decisions that he was making beforehand, which we already know about. I mean, hell, even as a Sunny fan, I could be like, yeah, Sonny, you you really you really effed up. You really effed up. Let's just be real. So we got temporary Michael today without any warning. That was a little kind of jarring. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like this guy's doing a bad job. He's not doing a bad job. Um, but when you get used to an actress for a while, and then they're on temporary break, and you're just like, what? Even if they're not your favorite actor, and you're so used to seeing them, you're just like, and on top of that, again, there was no today's role be played by nothing. And again, on top of the fact that we saw Michael on Friday, so it was like, what the hell is going on? Oh, whatever it is, hopefully he'll be back. I don't think. Here's the thing: temporary Michael is not doing a bad job. Emotionally, seeing a different version, seeing somebody else play him is just jarring. Anyway, that's not they're talking about him and Drew are talking about some numbers, they're talking about ELQ business and trying to get Ned to come over. They were talking about the stock, and then Carly came in. Now, I don't know how these laws and things like that work, but when I was on this site to watch it, Carly was like, well, I bought some shares or whatever. It was an open market, so I got to sit there and buy it and really help out the company. And somebody was at the end. They all did a toast, and somebody was like, "Yeah, toasting the inside trading." And I'm like, I remember I wrote that question up specifically because I want to know, are what they doing technically inside trading? I don't know. Somebody could sit there and tell me that. That would be very helpful. But yeah, somebody was like, "Oh, it's inside trading." Anyway, long story short, Michael was not happy with her investing so much money into this thing that's not even going to be, may not even be a sure deal. After Carly leaves, they see Lucy and they offer Lucy a proposition as far as like this can help deception as far as like advertising and deals and international stuff. Just a lot of good stuff, a lot of good perks for her if Lucy decides to side with Drew and Michael. She's like, all right, let me just think about this for a minute. Now, because one of the things she did sit there and say was she was like, was Valentine running the company well? It's like, yeah, no, he was doing a great job. He just wasn't a quartermain, And I'm like, yeah, but he was doing a great job. I get that his last name isn't Quartermain, it's Cassadine. Um, but does it really matter if the company is doing great and they're making money with doing little to no work? I understand that's the family name and business and yada yada yada, but Lucy was like, but the company is doing fine, and I'm in the company, and it's doing fine with its leadership. So why would I? The thing that really sucks is that if she decides to side with the wrong person, she decides she doesn't want to side with, and I personally, you know what, I'm gonna just sit there and say it. I personally think that she should side with Valentine. Besides this whole little thing about dating, not dating Martin or whatever, um, he was the first person that really sat there and invested in their company and it started thriving and doing good and stuff like that because he saw the potential in it. He gave Lucy a chance when they were probably sitting there trying to scramble to sit there and try to get investors. He's also been doing really great, as far as running the company. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Drew, Michael, Ned, whatever, but I really feel like she should side with Valentine. I really do. Um, their plan seems very shaky at best, and it's like, at least with Ned and Valentine, just doing ELQ, just doing business, like, it's been good. So why try to start throwing in a bunch of stuff that's not necessary? That's just my personal take. I don't know. And another thing that I found to be somewhat kind of a waste, at least for me personally, was the Laura and Spencer scene. Um, I mean, Spencer did sit there and say, like, as far as, because here's the thing, he was sitting there telling Laura about, Ava's new deal and everything like that, and Laura wasn't really too happy about it. But, Spencer was like, listen, I don't like Ava, but my dad does, and we have people that are very close to each other. So he's like, listen, for the sake of my dad, my loved ones, I'm just going to sit there and I'm just going to deal with her. Which, to be honest, I just want to point out again how stupid this whole vendetta against Ava is. I know I haven't really sat there and said it in a while, but I think we can pretty much all agree just how stupid his anger is towards Ava. Does anyone even remember why he's upset with Ava in the first place? Oh wait, because Ava didn't sit there and testify when Valentine shot him out a window. Now, she didn't testify because she wanted to fix her face, and Valentine knew the right people to help her out. You would think that when Spencer had his face burned, he would be more sympathetic towards appearance and because that could just affect you on a mental note, and that's what it did for him for a while. So you would sit there and think that he would be more sympathetic, but all because of some deal that she didn't agree to. That was like what was it, like 10 years ago or something like that. That he's still holding a grudge. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been known to hold grudges. Okay, I've been known to hold grudges. This is like a grudge that was like 10 years ago, bro. Like, come on, really? I mean, I think everyone holds grudges to some extent, and I don't think you know, everyone holds grudges to some extent. Most people, but it's just stupid. For him to even sit there bring that up, it's like, bro, if I was sitting there watching this, if I just watched this for the first time and I heard that, I would be like, man, that's pretty stupid. But I remember watching that. I remember even when they had I guess another actor that played Nicholas or whatever, got shot out of the window, and I remember like being there, like watching something back then is a lot different than you just coming in and hearing about it because there's still an emotional connection to it. Um, anyway, talk about that. I think Spencer gets some sort of bright idea as far as trying to go out to Esme's past, and I'm just like, bro, I feel so bad for Trina. I really, really do. Because you got Spencer that, well, and he is trying to help. He hasn't really done a good job. He hasn't really done a good job at all. And this is something that I forgot to mention. I was watching Brock TV's review maybe a couple weeks ago. And he was sitting there talking about how Scotty may not exactly be on his game, seeing how he just lost Nina's case. And now he's sitting there representing trading. And I remember hearing him say that, it was like, oh, yeah, he is representing her. Is there time to get a new lawyer, or is it just you just kind of stuck with him? Um, I know I was going somewhere with this, but again, yeah, okay, I was going somewhere with this. Yeah, I just feel bad for Trina because you got a lawyer that is very questionable at best at this point. Got Spencer, that's I don't know what the hell he's sitting there doing. He's come up with some plan that's been taking way too long. You got the PIs in his life, in her life, like Curtis is not doing a damn thing, and at least Sam is doing more than Curtis. You know what? And you got the absentee dad that we rarely see. So you got a lot of not good stuff that's going on in Trina's world. And I think the last thing that I forgot to talk about because I was like I knew it was something else, and I said no plan B. Oh, okay. Valentine and Martin Gray. So before Jordan came to Sunny, came to Martin and was like, "Listen, we got new intel that says that Cyrus did not sit there and try to target you." And of course, Cyrus was like, "Yeah, he talked to Laura and found religion and everything like that." And so apparently he didn't do it. So Jordan's like, "Yep, he didn't do it, but we don't know who did do it. So if you could think of anyone, let me know." That was pretty much about it. It was almost like something saying, "So the good news is that it's not Cyrus. Bad news is we don't know who it is." It almost actually seems like worse than news because at least with Cyrus, he may do it, but he may take his time. This guy or girl, whoever they are, may just come at Laura and Martin at any point in time. So it's almost like you just gave him worse news. So thank you for that, Jordan. Thank you for that. After that, she left. Um, Martin's more worried about his sister than about himself. And at that point, they start talking about EOQ, and Martin's like, "Listen, we need to come up with a plan B because it's not looking good. Numbers ain't looking good." Valentine's like, "Listen, we're gonna get back. We're gonna get Ned on our side. We're gonna be good. All you gotta sit there and do is work on Lucy." So that's Martin's little project, which now I sit there and think about it. It was kind of amazing. It was kind of a very fast turnaround. One minute he didn't want them together, and now he's all like, "Oh, you guys, you two crazy kids, you can do whatever you want. You just go on, you just have a fun old time. Yeah, you just do that." And that could be a reason. Because let's be honest, it was really stupid in the beginning with, to be honest. I said to be honest way too many times. But for real, it was really stupid for him to forbid these two from seeing each other because I don't even remember what his stupid explanation was, but it was stupid. Um, So yeah, Martin's gonna sit there and try to work on Lucy, and Valentine's gonna work on that. Which, to be honest, it really shouldn't be too hard because Ned's not liking this whole thing so far. He's just not liking this whole deal. He wants something where he feels like an equal, and good luck to him. Because at least for Valentine, you can feel like an equal, and to Valentine, I feel like doesn't really have much use for him. But I feel like he will because Ned's been in business for a while, so why wouldn't you want to sit there and have this guy on your side? I mean, hell, as much as crap that they give Valentine, he is a good business person. He is a good dad. Those are the things that they cannot sit there and fault him on, even if they want to. Um, oh yeah, and Sonny called Dax for some odd reason. But I feel like that's pretty much about it. So yes, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.